Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited to dive into this office hours for us all to learn about time-saving strategies to leverage PR. I feel like we can all benefit from this. So a core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you and your journeys, and intimate educational sessions like today's, filled with insights from your fellow members, are the perfect opportunity to up-level together. So before we officially begin, I want to share a bit of background information on our esteemed expert. Meg is a public relations and communications pro with a passion for helping female founders and small business owners discover the power of PR. For over 15 years, Meg helped a range of brands from Fortune 500 companies to emerging lifestyle ventures discover their unique voice and share it through the world with her corporate job. In 2021, a week after her honeymoon, she left agency life behind to start Meg Androsiglio. I practiced your last name, I promise.
You did it. You did it.
And made strategic public relations and branding accessible to entrepreneurs. Meg's passion lies in finding the individuality in business stories and product offerings to create media darlings and must-know brands. She loves keeping a finger on the pulse of what is new in the industry and continues to find the thrill in landing media placements for her clients. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Meg. We are so excited to learn from your expertise today. We know how valuable your time is, and we're so grateful to you for investing in the Dreamers and Doers Collective in this way.
Oh, I am so thrilled to be here. And I have to say, I love Dreamers and Doers. I'm like the latest cohort last year. And already, like, even the conversation we just had about microdosing, it's like you start a PR call with microdosing conversation. That's awesome. So I am really excited for this conversation today. I am passionate about PR and really believe it's one of the most important things we can turn on in marketing and promotions for our businesses, especially as female founders. So I do have slides. I'm a slides girl. I'm going to go through them, but I do move quick. I'm also a former New Yorker. So if I talk too fast, get in the chat, tell me to slow down. Let's have a conversation about it. I'm really excited to get going. So let me share my screen here and present the lovely Canva slides. All right. Amazing. Hannah, we can see this, right?
Yes, it looks great. There is just like a little pop-up in the right.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Canva. Bye. All right, good. All right, perfect. So making the most of our time with purposeful PR. So this is one of the things I find that people are most hesitant about public relations is one of two things. One, it's really expensive to hire out because you're familiar with agency life. Retainers for agency, monthly retainers starting at, $5,000 if you're lucky, all going up to $30,000 plus. Really expensive to turn on agency public relations, or if you do it yourself, super time consuming, a lot of rejection. Is there a lot of return that actually makes a difference to your business? So today we're going to talk about all those things and how you can turn on some strategies and tactics to make the most of your time if you are DIYing public relations yourself. Hannah gave an incredible introduction, so I'm not going to stand on this slide for too long, but just a little bit about me and my personality and who I am. I grew up in a super small town in the Finger Lakes area of New York. If any of you know Skinny Atlas, put it in the chat, but that's where I grew up. I went to New York City as fast as I could to get to college. Started working while I was in college during the recession at a public relations agency, loved it more than school. So started taking night classes to work practically full-time at the agency life. Worked with brands like Revlon, Colgate-Palmolive, Nike, Asics, ClassPass, Julep Beauty, Rodan & Fields, Sexy Hair, tons of awesome brands that I just fell in love with, and a really awesome combination of like huge household names And startups like ClassPass, when we started working with them, was in a teeny tiny like apartment office in New York and moved to their huge, gorgeous space in Chelsea and grew significantly during our time together. And just loved the thrill of all of it, all the pieces. But the best part of it was the creative and working with the founders. And as I kind of grew, as many of us do, grew in the ranks of corporate, and you hit that senior vice president level, you get less attached to the work, less, to your passion points, and more about making money for the business, which I didn't have passion for or didn't want to do. So I left agency life, started Meg Androsiglio PR, and now I'm focused on helping female founders and small business owners utilize public relations, proven corporate strategies to drive amazing awareness and visibility for their businesses. So the juicy topic for today, why is public relations even worth your time and effort? I think we have to take a quick look at that before we dive into the tactics. If we look at without PR and visibility work versus with PR and visibility work, you can see that if you don't turn on these amazing avenues and strategies for you to spread the awareness of your business, we're kind of on a hamster wheel of trying to get more and more people into our atmosphere. So without PR and visibility, our work has a shorter shelf life. We have to constantly churn out new stuff to create like a spark or a flash in the pan, versus if we push our amazing creations via media relations, partnerships, events, panels, speaking opportunities, we're able to take something juicy that we create once and use it in multiple places. Clients, partners, and community members can't figure out how to tap into our business. They hear about us, they kind of see our website, but they're not really sure or get an understanding of what it is exactly we can do or what our expertise lies in. Versus if we're in PR work, visibility work, we have third-party credibility that can showcase how amazing we are and how people can tap in, buy our products, buy our services. We're at events and panels where people see in long form areas how amazing we can coach. They see us live coaching, or they see us providing an amazing service, being an expert, being a leader. And of course, if without PR and visibility work, we keep ourselves small and we miss out on those chances to inspire others, versus if we are out there showcasing ourselves, we not only represent our brand and business, but we represent women, we represent amazing leaders in this new era, this new modern space, what the modern CEO looks like, and we're making big change, which is one of my, again, passion points for doing this work as well. So I'm, as you can hopefully tell, super passionate about public relations and visibility. And I think, it's important for us to turn on even in small ways, because there are compound impacts that happen through the work. So one of the most amazing ways to make it work for you, make public relations work for you, is to keep in mind this compound effect of public relations. And it's like, I see this a couple times to my clients, but it's not just the headline that happens after media relations. It's what happens after. It's the compound impact of that headline. So let's say you land your feature. I'm going to use one of my clients as an example. She landed a feature in InStyle today. She lands it. Amazing. It's gorgeous. She puts it on her website. She puts it in her Instagram bio. She shares it online. Beautiful. She adds it to her brand kit, her materials and pitches. She's featured in InStyle. Using that feature, she can then bust up her bio. She can bust up her pitch to be in panels. She can bust up her pitch to the Today Show to be on a fashion segment. She can really build up her persona and her personal brand so that she can bring in more exceptional opportunities. So while InStyle is amazing, thinking about the next step from InStyle that's going to drive her business forward, she wants more national recognition. She wants to be on broadcast, using the InStyle placement to show she's a proven expert. She's trusted by that publication. She's been featured more than once in her case. Gets the attention of someone like a producer at the Today Show and says, oh, she's proven and she has an audience that InStyle loves. We love InStyle. We're going to book her in for a segment in the spring around amazing spring scarves to wear. Try her out. So you use that to get bigger opportunities thanks to that proven love, which leads to more national exposure, bigger audience pool, more clients, and then eventually more income into your brand. Couple quick examples. I'm going to go through these super fast of just clients that have done this work before and how they're using compound impact just to show how this can work across different kinds of brands. Product brand first. This is Manio Beauty is a new to US skincare brand that launched, that came to the US in 2021. No recognition in this area, but it was a Korean American brand. It in Korea helped establish that 11-step Korean skincare routine that we're probably all familiar with that became very popular in the US. We chose to create an amazing brand story around this oil cleanser, which was what, again, sparked that oil cleansing phenomenon in Korea, introduced it to beauty editors through deliveries, meetings, creating relationships, and landing some amazing press placements at the start. Those press placements continue to get the attention of other influencers, editors, to just drum up that constant conversation about the brand. And that steady drumbeat then led to a Best of Beauty award in Birdie, which has proven click-through to purchase benefits. So it was that ongoing media outreach, again, steady drumbeat of conversation with editors, getting the placements coming in that got the attention of Birdie, tested it for the award, and then resulted in something amazing for the brand. Similarly, a client of mine, En Route Collective, which is a membership, wine membership where you join in for a small fee a month, and an expert in California, the owner, Tara Jane Albee, selects these amazing micro-produced wines. They make like a couple cases up basically a month of these wines, if not less than that, and selects these wines for you and shares them out, and you have a virtual tasting and all this amazing stuff. It's an incredible brand. We knew that we needed to make a splash in the wine industry, and a big tastemaker thought leader in the wine industry is Wine Spectator. Found this amazing editor, Marianne, who was really interested in the micro winery trend and what that meant for California, what that meant for the wine industry. She wrote a full page article on En Route Collective, featured in Wine Spectator. The day, they say print is dead, but the day that the paper issue of Wine Spectator hit newsstands, Tara got so many signups for her service that she thought she had a bot. Hundreds of people came in, signed up, which is an awesome testament, again, to Wine Spectator, because someone picked up the actual article, flipped the pages, and decided to then Google En Route and sign up for a newsletter. And then the newsletter and subscribe. And then the placement eventually resulted in a lot of holiday coverage, including Market Watch as well. Again, just drumming up and the compound impact as more and more attention comes to the brand. And I can use myself as an example as well, right? So I use Dreamers and Doers, amazing PR hype engine as well to help get some coverage and placements. I also pitch myself, and I'm going to share a couple of tactics as well that I use to pitch myself weekly. And that's how I got this amazing New York Post placement late last year. I also work on cross promotion with other entrepreneurs. I do guest coaching, I do Instagram lives, all that great stuff that end up in amazing things for my business, growing my business very quickly. So the compound impact of public relations really can't be ignored. And this is how you make PR work for you in a time-effective way. And we're going to talk about the actual time commitment of certain tactics as well. But if you want to make public relations, if you're doing it yourself and you want to make the bang for your buck, you have to use this compound impact strategy versus randomly going for these, pockets, flashy things that maybe last a week or two. Focus on the promotions and marketing that you can build upon and help you get to the bigger thing, week after week, month after month. So Examples of visibility work and tactics. There's a huge list here, and basically the limit is your imagination. I consider public relations to be any activity where you are creating a mutually beneficial relationship between you and the other party. So whether that's a relationship with an editor for a media placement, a relationship with a brand for a partnership, podcasts, guesting on a podcast, blogging, writing a book, guest coaching. These are all creating mutually beneficial relationships where you are providing either expertise, a service, a product to feature, something that is a resource for the other party to use and helps promote both your missions. So for example, media relations, I don't look at that as like advertising where I push my service and tell the editor she has to write about it because it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. I think of it as I have a service that helps X, Y. Let's use the example from the news today. It was just reported today that Gen Z would rather talk about sex and politics than credit card debt and finances. If I am a finance coach, I can pitch myself as an expert to let's say Cosmopolitan Magazine or Elite Daily, which is a big Gen Z publication, and say, I am a, financial investment planner or credit card debt expert. This just came out from Intuit today. I have XYZ to share, this kind of background. I'm happy to help you as you write and cover this story. You're giving yourself as a resource to the editor versus saying, here's my course, it's the solution to all your problem. So you're starting that relationship and from a resource space versus pushing and promotion. Today, I'd love to focus on pitching yourself, which I think is the bread and butter of PR and how we can do it really efficiently and quickly. You could start doing it today, and partnership with brands. If there's anything else on this list that you want to talk about, please get at me in the Dreamers and Doers Network or on Instagram, and we can talk about it. I love talking about all these things, but these are a great few ways to start immediately today. Easily pitching ourselves. Some of you may have heard of this amazing resource called HARO, which is Help a Reporter Out. If you just Google Help a Reporter Out, it will come right up. It's a resource from a company called Cision. It was a secret weapon of publicists for many years, and now it's becoming much more well-known to the entrepreneurial and business community. It's basically a database used by editors, publicists, and business owners where editors are hooked up to the other resources to help land or finish up stories they're working on and they're assigned to. So an editor posts a query saying, I'm working on a story about 10 best picnic blankets for spring. Please send me what you got. And it's sent out to the HARO's email list. All the companies that have picnic blankets respond to the query, say, amazing, I have a picnic blanket for you, blah, 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 blah. The editor gets 100 picnic blankets in her inbox. She gets to choose which one she's going to include in the story, posted. So it's an amazing way to quickly connect with editors who need you fast because they're working on the story. They're telling you exactly what they need and you're giving it to them. It is somewhat frustrating. It's not as easy as like, oh, let me order a story, because many people know about this resource. Editors get hundreds, if not thousands, of responses to their queries. So it is important to stand out, respond quickly, and be super appropriate for the story. So let me give you a quick example. This is from today's HARO. It looks like this when it comes into your inbox. It's a huge list. This is just the beginning, but it's a huge list of usually between 60 and 100 queries. You read through the links to see what may be worth it to you, what's actually relevant to you and your business. When you click on the query, it looks like this little box here, like I did number a little 69. It tells you the editor, the publication. It gives you a link to respond. Always use this link. Don't try to find the editor and respond to her inbox. They don't appreciate that. Tells you the deadline, and then it tells you exactly what they need from you for the story. In order to be seriously considered for this HARO, you have to respond in the exact way that Lex is answering or asking here. So You don't respond and say, hey, Lex, I would be happy to do this. Like, just let me know what you need from me. She's telling you what she needs from you right here. So you respond in the best possible way. Make sure that you meet all the requirements. Obviously, beautiful grammar. Send your bio and headshot if you have it. Fantastic. You want to be short and sweet. Follow the format that they lay out. Do not make it an advertisement. Do not put 2 paragraphs about yourself and then answer the questions. You want to answer the questions as quickly and as succinctly as you can. Think of like, what does an editor need in her story? If you want to Google Lex and see how she writes in past articles and kind of follow that format, even better. And then you can share a little bit about yourself with the editor with links and all that great stuff. Teresa, do you have a question? Your hand's raised.
Yeah, hi. Out of curiosity, would you expect that if you follow this format, that they're literally just going to take what you wrote with your headshot, if they even use the headshot or whatever, but they're just going to take what you wrote and automatically use it? Or would there be a like, hey, I like what you wrote, looking for further information? Like, is it more like what you put is what's printed, or there's an opportunity for follow-up typically?
It's usually what you pitch is what's printed. So okay. As you work, I have clients who develop amazing relationships with editors via Haro. My girl, Allie, who is in InStyle today, has a relationship with InStyle from Haro. So she was featured a couple times. She pitched, she responded, they took her quote, they put it in. She followed up to say, thank you so much for including me. This was amazing. Anything else you need? And they were like, great, we have 3 more stories for you. And that's how she started the relationship. Versus Haro usually is you write it out, they copy paste it, they put it in and quote you, and then they send you the article when it's published. So you don't like, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so out of curiosity, like if I follow that train, like I've sent an email to this query, and let's say something I wrote got picked up, how would I respond back to say thank you if the only email address is this query email?
Amazing question. I would Google Lex. Usually you can find her email address on her website. So many editors now are freelancers because of just the state of media. So you'll find her website. She'll have a contact. And then I would email her and say, thank you so much for this. That's a great question. Thank you so much for this. I'm happy to be a resource. That's another great point too, Teresa. I like creating media lists. So like Excel, or if you're like me, I'm a Notion geek. I like creating media lists so I can keep track of editors that I want to reach out to and proactively pitch. That's another way to use Haro, since you have these awesome editor names and publications right here. If you consistently see editors asking for things in your niche, take note of who she is, Google her, get her contact information, and proactively pitch her on other topics. You don't have to just wait for Haro. And if you want to talk about proactive pitching, that's a whole other story we can talk about later.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I love using Haro to kick off media relations because it's kind of an ego boost and it's a confidence builder, because if you do Haro for, I would say 2 months, you will get a placement. It is really easy if you're following the format. And I know everyone in Dreamers and Doers is great at grammar. We write fantastically, right? We're strong in our branding. You will catch the attention of an editor. And once you get that first or second placement, you're like, okay, I can do this. And then you're ready for proactive pitching. Then you can use what you've gotten from Haro to get better publications.
Lisa shared a question in the chat. She said, you mentioned adding a link to your bio in the response email. Would that be the recommended way, or should we just add a short bio plus high-res headshot directly to the response email?
Great question. I would do it as a link, because the Haro inbox is kind of like an HTML type. It's not very pretty. So your picture might not even show up. It might show up as code. And they honestly just want the information right at hand. We don't want to muddle anything with too long of an email. So I would answer the questions and say, to help you with your story, here's a link to my bio, and here's a link to high-res images should you need them. That way we're not pushing it. There's no attachments. Easy, easy, easy. Great question. Cool. Time check on Haro. Boundaries. I love boundaries. I used to hate boundaries. Now I love boundaries. Do not check Haro every day. So when you sign up for Haro, they're going to ask you what topics you're interested in, all these things, how many times you want to receive it. Because I'm a publicist, I get it 3 times a day. I do not check Haro every day. I check it Monday through Thursday AM. Reason for that, editors are very rarely working on a new story on Fridays. I could be missing a New York Times piece, but honestly, my brain can't handle it and I don't want to do it on Fridays. So I check Monday through Thursday. I also have my message points ready to go. So even though it's important that you follow the format of the query, like we just saw, you should be copying and pasting your 2-line bio about yourself, your links that you have ready. So you're not rewriting new things, right? And any top quotes on your relevant niche, you could usually copy and paste into the query as well, just to help you with that. I spend probably 15 minutes per day, 15 minutes or half an hour, if I'm being generous, on Haro. If it's a huge piece, oh my God, this New York Times piece, which is perfect, I gotta be really specific, blah, 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 I'll spend a little bit more time. But honestly, I don't spend more than an hour a week on Haro. If you're spending more than that on Haro, the return is not worth it. That's my personal opinion. I just think that you can be super efficient with it. Set yourself up, have the materials that you probably already have, your bio, your headshot, key line, one-liners that you want to use. If you have that ready to go, you can do Haro in 15 minutes a day, an hour per week. Amazing. Let's quickly talk partnerships. Partnerships are sexy. Everyone wants a partnership. Choosing a brand partner. Your ideal brand partner is all about your business goals. If you want to boost community and engagement, you want active community, you want active participation around your brand, you probably don't want to necessarily partner with a brand like King Arthur Flour, who we're going to talk about in 2 seconds. Let's say you're a baker and you want more community and engagement. You probably don't want to focus a partnership on a brand like King Arthur, because while that is drawing national attention to you, that's not necessarily drawing in active humans. It's drawing fans of King Arthur Flour. You want another human who already has an active community to help bring their community's attention to you. So why not co-host an Instagram Live, a webinar, do a guest coaching, something with that person's community to bring more of them in, be active with you, draw their attention to you. If you are looking for a larger audience or something bigger, or you want some more attention on your brand, cross-promoting with a brand is a great step, which we're going to talk about how to find those opportunities in a second. But a lot of people discount Instagram Lives, webinars, guest coaching because they don't think it's a real partnership. As a publicist, I would argue that that's almost stronger as we're in this entrepreneurial field. Community is super important to me this year. Nourishing community is super important to me. I think just with everything going on social media wise, we're all used to seeing the same thing and engagement is super low for everyone. How do we bust that out through human partnership? Brand partnership is the sexy, fun, splashy stuff, which both are great. You just want to make sure that they're driving to your business goals. Okay, so let's talk about brand partnership, because this is a quick tactic. If you're interested in brand partnership, I'm going to use the baker example again. King Arthur Flour is the flour you use for all of your cookies, all of your cakes. You want to partner with them, do something with content with them via social media or newsletter takeover, or whatever it is. How are you going to get in contact with King Arthur Flour? First, make sure it aligns with you and your goals. So take a quick look at King Arthur's social media pages, sign up for their newsletter, make sure that what they're talking about aligns with what you love, what you're passionate about. If there's anything in their communication or in their branding that doesn't feel good, it's an X-nay, move on to the next. One, you don't want that audience who doesn't align with your values in your space. And 2, you don't want your existing audience to be thrown off by partnering with someone who doesn't align with your space. So make sure that you're really feeling good about that connection. And if there's anything that feels not good, don't do it. If you say, oh, King Arthur's perfect, let's go find them. The quickest way to find the person to talk to is obviously the contact us page under the company. It's usually, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, this is almost for any brand. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you get to like a company about us section, contact us is there. You'll see here. And then on the second window, King Arthur Flower has a specific form for content creators, influencers, entrepreneurs, etc., to fill out for partnership opportunities. Usually it's a brand partnership manager or press opportunities, sometimes content manager, marketing manager. Those are the people you want to speak to. And they're almost always listed on the website of these bigger brands. That's because it is their job, their sole purpose, to find people like us to connect and create content. We are a resource to them, and it is their job to find us. This is why when my clients say that they're nervous about reaching out to brands and starting brand partnerships, I tell them we are actually making the person's job easier because they don't want to scroll TikTok and Instagram all day try to find us in the wild. If we provide ourselves as a resource, they love us for coming at them first. So start from a place of confidence, knowing that the brands are looking for people like us to help their own business strategies. Showcase how you benefit the brand. You are a resource and an asset to their brand. Show what you can give them. Talk about your newsletter, talk about your subscribers, talk about your followers, talk about content that went viral, talk about products you provide, products you could make with them, what you're imagining, what they've done in the past that you love. Talk about how this is a natural partnership. And again, it is their job to find people like us. Brands want more user-generated content. Brands want to be connected with actual human beings. So by reaching out to our partnership managers, starting relationships here, we're doing them a service to them as well as us. And brand partnerships are great from a public relations standpoint too, because you can obviously use all the same content in your outreach to media. You can use partnerships as a compound effect to get attention for events, panels. Retailers love brand partnerships, all that great stuff. So it really helps your visibility efforts. Time check on brand partnerships. I like to focus on partnerships once a quarter. So whether you're doing brand partnerships like we talked about today, or even personal brand partnerships, focus on it once a quarter because it is a little bit more time consuming, and your business strategy will probably change quarter by quarter. You might have a new offer in Q1 that you really want to focus on, but then you want some national recognition in Q4. So focus on it quarter by quarter. Make a list of the partners you'd like to go after. Always have backups. Have a drafted pitch that you can reuse and tweak depending on each partnership you're going after. You pitch once and you follow up once. Once the partnership starts moving forward, make sure you bring in team members if you can, like a VA or someone to just help with logistics, or use things like Calendly to set up your reoccurring meetings, Planoly to help with content, all that great stuff. Take stock in the efforts that you put forward for your partnership and learn for next quarter. Total time, 5 to 7 hours per quarter. Any questions on partnership tactics? Any questions in general? That was a lot of stuff. And hopefully you guys probably are already doing some of these things already. Maybe you just didn't realize that it was public relations focused. But I hope that you can see if you're using that compound impact strategy that we started the call with, you can really make the most of your time spent. Teresa.
Meg, this was very helpful, very interesting. I have a quick question. So is there what ways could I leverage something that I did in the past that maybe I didn't realize was a PR opportunity? So, for example, being featured on in panel discussions or on podcasts, and I didn't really, PR wasn't front of mind for me. It was more, I guess, the focus of the message and the conversation. So I didn't really do anything with those things. I mean, like I posted it on LinkedIn that I was going to be on there, but I didn't do any of those like leveraging things. Is there anything I can do with those things now?
Yeah, 100%. Another reason I love PR is because the results last basically in perpetuity. So if you land a placement in Glamour, that placement exists in Glamour until Glamour website is done, right? Okay. So everyone can Google it until Kingdom Come. You can still promote and use. So podcasts you've been on, panels you've been on, should obviously be on your website, but you should also use them even now in pitches for other opportunities. So even if you were on a podcast a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, if you're pitching another podcast, I would use the podcast you've done before. I would continue to use the compound impact. And yes, for other panel discussions, industry events, everything you've done in the past is fair game. Just because it's done doesn't mean you have to use it within 6 months or it's expired.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great question. Anything else? That was a lot.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about guest workshop. No, not workshop.
Guest coaching.
Guest coaching. Thank you. That's a topic I hadn't sort of seen before. Can you talk more? Is that finding communities where you can do that? Is that with other business owners? Can you just clarify that a little bit more?
Yeah, love that. So guest coaching is with other, so I'm a service provider, so I'm going to use myself as an example. So guest coaching would be something like, through my community, I have followed I have followers who are business coaches, business operations coaches, that sort of thing. They have their own group coaching programs. I'm going to pitch myself as a free guest coach for those programs. So if I'm, again, using myself as an example, Diana Davis is a coach that I follow and love and has coached me before. I pitched myself as obviously a PR expert who can help coach her students on what PR is all about, like a PRO 101, and offer myself for a 45-minute class. And now I'm going to teach one of her masterminds next month on like DIY PR tactics to start this year. So it's really very similarly to a brand partnerships pitch. It's finding the connections between your two brands, not finding someone in my same niche, because if I tried to go to another PR person, it's obviously like, why would I? No, but a business coach still is my audience of entrepreneurs, female founders, etc. I have an opportunity to reach her audience who's engaged in the course. She gets a day off from coaching, and I get an opportunity to talk to a new group of people. It's smaller, right? Like her mastermind's 10 women, but if one of those people decide to work with me for like a VIP day, that's great. And she then recommends me. It's that small impact that comes through. And then again, you can start using that, guest coaching accolades to build you up to then a panel invite. And then that panel invite builds you up to a create and cultivate invitation, that sort of thing. So that's starting from the seed and then building the roots that get you to the larger opportunities moving forward.
Thank you. That was super helpful.
Yeah, of course. Great question.
I have a question. First of all, thank you. This was amazing. Yeah. About a month ago, I'm 3 years into owning a business, and my question is around a partnership that I'm actually a part of. And I own a female-centric community event and co-working space in Bozeman, Montana. And Diana Davis has roots in Bozeman. So I love that you know her.
That's awesome.
But anyways, I am part of a partnership of women owned and operated spaces across the country and soon to be international, like Luminary and spaces on the West Coast and like all through the country. And we kind of as a collaborative, were like, we should do some sort of PR push during the Women's History Month. And like, we were kind of thinking about gearing it towards International Women's Day, but have since decided that there's a lot of noise that's happening on that day, and it would be more advantageous to do it at some other point during the week or during the month. But anyways, because we are across the country and we are in so many different markets, I'm really trying to better understand what role my space and community in Montana can play in this bigger picture. So we have somebody who is going to be helping us at the national level. And then her encouragement was go find somebody, like do your own PR at the local level. And in some way, shape or form, it'll kind of all wrap together. And so that's like where I'm at in the conversation. I know nothing about PR. Now I feel much more educated, but do you have any recommendations for me as a space owner who's really trying to promote the entrepreneurial women of Montana in this bigger story, but locally? I'm just not really clear, like where my approach should be. So any insight or thoughts you have on that are super appreciated.
Well, Amanda, first of all, awesome. And I love my Bozeman girls. I have a few Bozeman friends, so we have to connect. I would say, I mean, her recommendation is right. As a publicist right away, now I'm thinking like bread and butter media relations in your local area. So like if I'm an entrepreneur and don't know who you are, but I'm craving community, where are the places I'm looking? I'm Googling. So literally any Bozeman local news that could write stories about you, introduce you to the community, any other like-minded businesses in the area that you could do partnerships with. So even I'm thinking like a coffee house where people meet and you host a meetup or something that then sparks a larger thing to your actual event space. Getting creative on how you're going to amp up that like SEO basically. So I think local media outreach is the way to go first to create that spark, and then creating those relationships with women and entrepreneurs who are already kind of established in the area and using partnerships that way. And I might actually have a connection for you.
Awesome.
In the area right away. I'm like, wait, I know who you should need to talk to. And starting that way. So I would focus on the two things we talked about today, quite honestly, which is partnership with local women and then media relationships, but on the local side. So newspaper, local news, that sort of thing, because you'd be so surprised how that translates to and impacts the local business community. Right. Yeah. So I would look to go there first. And then if your partner is doing the national scale, amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So then my follow-up is there's one woman in my community who works in the PR world. And she was like, you want to be really, really strategic about what kind of story you're pitching to where, whether it's a news outlet or it's an evergreen publication that's going to be on a coffee table, which kind of intimidated me purely because I was like, I don't even have the time to sit down and think about which story would be better for what. And so, but I don't want to be stuck there. I want to just move forward. And so do you have any recommendations for like, I don't want to throw spaghetti at a wall because it can be strategic, but I guess I don't really know like what it means to be strategic from this initial.
That's a great question. And that can apply to all of us, right? So if we say, because the number one thing I hear from my clients is like, why would anyone care to write about me? Like, how do I craft a story that they even care to write about? If you say to me, Meg, I need to be in Vogue magazine, for example, I'm going to say, okay, when was the last time you read Vogue magazine? And usually the answer is like, 2 years ago. You have to be reading these publications that you want to be included in. So let's say, I'm so sorry, I don't know any Bozeman newspapers off the top of my head, but let's say that I'm going to use myself as an example. Syracuse is the closest biggest city to me. Syracuse the Post Standard has a really huge business section. I need to be reading that business section, I would say at least weekly. So I know what the editors are writing about. And when I'm thinking about their pitches, when I'm thinking about my pitch, it's going to speak in the same tone, but also thematic as other things that are being written in that section. So if they like to cover socially conscious, sustainable, environmentally friendly, I don't know, future forward-looking businesses, I'm going to make sure that my pitch speaks to those themes, maybe even more so than like definitely, of course, female founders is important, et cetera. But what are the talking points that speak to those other themes that they're really like psyched about versus talking about like our space is high end and it's locally like amazing. And we have this awesome coffee. Like they don't care. They just want, how are you sustainable? How are you future forward thinking? How do you speak to what our audience is reading us for? Using the Vogue example, if you say to me, I need to be in Vogue, but your product doesn't speak to an elevated 30 to 50-year-old woman, it speaks to Gen Z, like skincare lovers. I'm making this up. I'm going to say, let's not go for Vogue. Let's go for Elite Daily and BuzzFeed and Bustle, because that's where your Gen Z is reading. Like, this is where you're reading. You want Vogue for an ego thing. You don't want Vogue for your audience. So make sure that when you're being strategic that way, that's how I would do it. Make sure you're reading the publications you're going for. What are they writing about? What are the themes that they care about? And then don't think you have to change your business, but just craft your pitch so you're speaking to those things. And if it's not a fit, do not pitch them, because you don't want that business anyway.
Right. That's super helpful. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
I got a newspaper to read now.
Yeah, you do. And I have someone for you, Amanda. I'm going to get in your inbox.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Great question. Okay, cool. Just quick before we wrap up, how to work with me. I've loved this conversation. It's so good, but I also hope you guys can tell we can talk about this for ages. So I'm happy to get on a quick intro call with any of you. Just message me. I'm more than happy to do that. The other thing that I have available is something called VIP Visibility Days, which it's a 4-hour stint. Basically, it's not a whole day, but it's a 4-hour stint where we do a quick audit. We look at what you want to get done. We discover any blocks or anything that we need to push out of the way, tweak around your visibility strategy. And then we create an amazing strategy to get to that business point. You have a media list. We work on your pitch together. It's co-work / work done for you in that 4-hour time. And then you have an amazing strategy you can implement for yourself for the rest of the quarter, if not first half of the year in that time. It's my most efficient way to get started on PR, but I'm also here for you in a discovery call, free call, if we ever want to consider this, keep the conversation moving forward. And you can get at me on Instagram. You can obviously get at me on Dreamers and Doers. And this is my email address if you want to get at me. I loved this conversation. It was so good.
Yeah, this was so good. Thank you so much, Meg. I loved how actionable every single thing was that you talked about. It wasn't like hypotheticals up here. It was like things we can start doing right now today, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming with such great questions. I love to see this conversation unfolding. I am going to drop in the chat our events feedback form. We'd love to hear any feedback that you have for today's session. I know there were some great things shared already, so if you want to put those in the form, that'd be very helpful for us. But it was such an honor to learn alongside you all today. Thank you again, Meg, for being here. It was so great. Just getting to learn alongside everyone. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and we will see you on the next office hours.